Morning, everyone. Another Sunday morning, another SEMLA coaching seminar. This morning, all the topic is juniors. And you'll see we have Jack Gambrill and John Horbury here from the Spencer Lacrosse Club. I'll hand over those in 2 minutes. Usual format, it's being recorded. If I've got a question, put up your virtual hand, I'll cue you in. I'll let Jack and John introduce themselves. Gents, over to you.
Sure. Well, I'm Jack. Some of you will probably have seen me around. Been playing for, I think, about 8-9 years now. It's a very average level of lacrosse. But being involved in coaching, not necessarily lacrosse, but coaching kids pretty much since I've left uni, really, and some before. And then when I joined Spencer about a year and a half ago, after about half a year to a year, I started helping out Pete with the juniors, mainly on the younger groups, so the pinball and like up to like under 12s, in the coaching sort of background. And John's here as well.
Hi, I'm John. I currently coach the under 15s at Spencer Lacrosse Club. Yeah, I've been playing for about 7-8 years now, and yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Yeah. So we're going to briefly talk about coaching juniors and what we do really at Spencer really. So as I said, like I start off with the younger lot really, like the kids who first come to what we call pinball lacrosse, like real pop lacrosse, very basics of learning the skill, and just mainly the main bit is just having the fun and really enjoying the sport. So if they do stay on, they eventually go over to John and learn more of the actual rules and the skills of lacrosse. So yeah, with the pinball, it's I think like ages from 8 to 10. Even sometimes we get some 7-year-olds as well joining in, and boys and girls, complete mix. Literally just having a load of fun with a load of lacrosse. Not necessarily focusing on any specific skills of like how to 100% pick up the ball and stuff like that. We like to let them learn how to do it themselves and find what's comfortable with themselves too. So if they're enjoying it at the end of the day, it's going to stick with them and they're going to want to come back. After they've done the first couple of sessions, then you can really sort of get into the nitty picky of really step, squat, scoop of all the pickup, and then hand positions on throwing and stuff like that. So yeah, our sessions, like, to begin with, are fairly lots of little games really going on, and then ending up with one big sort of match at the end. So games such as like Rob the Nest, where you got all the balls in the middle, and you go and you pick up in teams, pick up the ball, come back, drop the ball, the next person goes off. And then you've got going into even some line drills sort of thing of just really getting those little basics of there. You've got Cannonball, where you like to get the parents involved and the coaches involved, of them in the middle, and the kids are basically trying to throw the softballs at you to try to get you out. So sort of like Cannonball tag. And then sort of normally go into numbers really of like, going not necessarily on skill but height of the kids at the moment, which is ironic for me doing that. So you get the 1 to 8 of like shortest to tallest. So then you call like 1 and 2, so you got a fairly even game going on. And then yeah, as you progress, as you start to get into the under 12s, then you sort of bring into the equipment side of things. So with the gloves and the helmets for the men's. I don't necessarily normally do the women's sort of side of the game. The women's are sort of by under 12s will then go over to women's lacrosse by then. But yeah, so the boys under 12s, that's when you're really getting into the nitty gritty of actual lacrosse, the rules, the format, the teams, your positions. You work out by when they get into under 12s, like really sort of what position they are going to be playing throughout their lacrosse career if they want to keep going. You work out your poke checks like very carefully to begin with literally just a stick out, not necessarily doing it in game straight away because it is pretty tricky poke check. Yeah, so that's the basics of like where we go with Spencer in the with the pinball and the under 12s, and then like I said, we then go on to more specifics with John onto the under 15s.
Just this pause there, Jack. So,
Yeah.
just any questions for Jack? Because I just to double check with you guys both. If you're happy to receive questions as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
more than happy.
One question. I've just got to get a dog out of my room. There we go. You talk about soft balls. Are they the soft lacrosse balls, or have you worked with tennis balls? Do you find one better than the other?
Yeah, so there's the soft sort of squidgy lacrosse balls that you normally find with pop lacrosse or with fiddlesticks. Those are the normal balls that we use with the pinball, and then obviously getting onto the under 12s, you are starting to use a proper ball by then. Tend to find like with the tennis balls, they're a little bit bigger than the soft like fiddlesticks. So with the sticks, it's not ideal for them learning how to catch a pass because it will get stuck with the pop lacrosse sticks. So tend to try to use the soft squidgy like fiddlestick pinball lacrosse ones. Yeah.
If anyone's got any questions for Jack, throw them in, and for the pinball stuff, the under 12 stuff. If not, I've got plenty, and then we'll move on to John in a mo. So, how big's the sort of the pinball area? How big do you lay out like a coned area, a square or something? What do you do for that pinball mini game situation?
Yeah, so obviously at Spencer we've got the really good facility where we got already a junior pitch and a pinball sort of pitch marked out, but compared to a actual lacrosse pitch, you'd sort of be saying no more bigger than end to the restrainer, but playing that width wise. So the length of the pinball pitch is this kind of width of a lacrosse pitch, and then width to width we normally go from end zone to first restrainer. So that's sort of like the pitch that we tend to play in.
So it's a relatively big area.
Fairly big, yeah, but obviously you're bringing the goals in like normal, so you can still play around at X. But yeah, so you don't want to bunch them in too much to begin with because you want to. They're not got the turn. They haven't got that level of skill yet to be playing in a tighter place. Obviously, you then bring it in more when they get more skillful. But to begin with, a nice big open area so you can work out to spread the play. Otherwise, it all becomes like headless chickens all following like the one ball going balls there. Like if you work out, you got the space, use it to spread out. They tend to work that way.
And I'll cue in John Tilley in a moment, but just want to finish off that train of thought. So say if you had just a group of 6 or 8, I guess you can still do plenty of mini games. If you've got a group of sort of 12 plus, I guess it's still good. What sort of numbers are you looking at before you might have to switch on to 2 pinball fields, or could you have?
I'd say we get on well with 16. I'd say 8v8 normally. When you're getting more, you tend to go. That's when we look at getting the second pitch out there. I suppose it all depends on everyone's sort of spacing, really, what you've got to work with. But we tend to find one pinball like lacrosse area would be good for 16.
John, have you got a question?
Yeah, it was about sort of when they come to you. Am I right that most of the kids come to you sort of pretty early on at the sort of pinball stage?
Yeah, so we do get a lot of kids at pinball, and then obviously some will then go off and find their own sports that they enjoy, or the ones who really did enjoy lacrosse will then go on to the under 12s. I think in the Southwest London that we've got, it is in a lot of the curriculum PE that we've got, mainly in the girls' side. It is in curriculum PE. So we've got that already linked with some schools to know that we're here. So they do tend to join us at that early age. And I think the fact that a lot of our senior men help out with the coaching side of things to try to get that big sort of lacrosse bubble going. So ideally, we tell them, yeah, we're here as well. But if you ever want to watch like normal lacrosse, we're here on a Saturday and stuff like that. So yeah, we tend to get it more, I think, from the Southwest London. It's like I said, it's in the curriculum for mainly the girls, but some of the boys in some of their schools do play it at curriculum level. So if they enjoy it from there, then they tend to find out more and from us.
Right. But do you get kids coming in straight into the under 12 level, and that's their first experience?
People who have walked past field view and obviously seen it going on. People who've heard of lacrosse but want to know more. I've had people who like enjoy hockey because it's quite transferable, but I always describe lacrosse as hockey in the air. like it's very similar. Enjoy that, and then they want to find out more about lacrosse. So yeah, we do get the real complete, brand new, never picked up a stick before. So that's where we help out with where we've got Pete with us. Like we'll start the session, then Pete will do a little bit of a one-to-one to begin with the basics of how to get in and catch up with the guys who have been coming like weeks and weeks. So yeah, we do get a big range of abilities and people who did literally have picked up the stick for the first time because they've seen that. It looks quite cool.
Yeah. Okay. Final question. Do you get a lot of dropouts from the sort of pinball to the going from sort of softball pop to hardball? Ross, or
some and some. I wouldn't say loads and loads. I'd say the majority of done pinball would go on to under 12s.
Right.
But it's sort of that age where kids are like, loads of their friends are playing different sports, and they might go, he's going to go play football, but I'm really good friends with him, so I'm going to keep playing football with them. So you tend to find those are the ones who drop out, but the ones who really enjoy it and really fun will stick on to. I mean, some of our guys in Spencer seniors are still started off with Pete in the juniors, and work their way all the way along to even the ones now. So you tend to see those are the success stories, but you do get obviously some drop offs, like with every junior sport out there, not necessarily just lacrosse. Like every junior sport, you get drop offs. Your friends get interested in something else, so you go and do it with them. But I'd say the majority is quite good. I'd say what I've seen anyway of my short time with Spencer anyway. So
okay, thanks.
Rob, you've got a question.
Yeah, it was just based on obviously looking at I'm actually on your Spencer Junior Lacrosse page, and with the under 12s being U10 and U11, if you've got new players, would they be going into the pinball, or would they actually go into that U12 group?
No, they'd come again into the year 12 group to begin with, but again, similar to what I was just saying about the juniors with Pete, we'd start the main session, and then Pete would help out with the basics of step cross group, this is your helmet, this is what you can see, and those sort of things. So yeah, it's not necessarily like you wouldn't have the under 12s with some of the 7 and 8 year olds, because it just be not fair for the 7 or 8 year olds, and the year 10 wouldn't really be enjoying it as much, because it'd be like, well, I'm with the kids, all my mates are over there. So you would do sort of like a fast track speed up to get up to those sort of specific levels to get into proper contact and the rest of the under 12 session.
Cool, thanks.
Okay. We'll come back to the younger age groups obviously at any point later on, but let's move across to John. So I guess you Jack hands them over to you when they reach a certain age. Tell us about what you do with the older groups.
Yep. So my aim is to prepare them for men's lacrosse and to build on these strong foundations for good form. So generally, a pitch size should be you can use about a third of a full size lacrosse pitch. You can use normal size goals as well, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Generally, at this age, you're just trying to get them used to men's lacrosse and trying to push them forward into preparing them for when they turn 16 and can play in men's lacrosse. So that's all you're really doing. So a typical session would probably look like you'd probably have a warm up for 15 minutes where you send them for a jog, then you go into line stretching, just like you would a normal session. Then you move into stick skills. And here I would do a 15-minute stick skill session where that would either be a triangle drill where you have 3 different points and you're just passing one to your left and making sure that they're always moving and going through good foundations for good technique. Same goes for ground balls and such. Then next I would go into what I would call a fun drill. So this is either a ground ball drill of where it's 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, or dodging, and you would just again go through the same process of let them run through the session, and then halfway through ask questions, make sure that they are understanding what they need to do, and give them some good coaching points. And then the main bit of the session would be filled by your key coaching point. So this is where you're starting to teach them about the men's lacrosse game. So, for example, I've been working a lot on pick and rolls with my juniors. And one other topic that we've been focusing on is our 2-3-1 formation and making sure that we're working in the triangles. So this is just allowing them to see a bit more about what men's lacrosse is like, and so that when they do make the jump up into men's lacrosse, they're not completely unaware of what's going on. And then I would finish off a session with a good competitive game, just to make sure that you get the competitive juices flowing. So generally, that's what a typical session would look like for an under 15s. It obviously depends on the numbers, especially in your competitive games. And so after a period of time, you might want to make sure that you're making sure that they're implementing what you've worked on in your key coaching point, and making sure that they're understanding exactly what you're asking them to do. But yeah, these are that's exactly what a typical session would look like. But yeah, any questions?
I've got one straight away. It's for both of you actually. Just thinking about goals. So, John, you were saying that from the under 15 group, they're working with full-size goals, and I'm assuming you got in the under 15s goalies, proper padded goalies are at that age group.
Yes, so you'll be introducing all types of equipment at that age. I mean, they're at an age from 12 to sort of 15. They're at an age of where they can go into the internet, they can go on their phones, and they can check YouTube and look at sort of NCAA. So they already know about deep holes and the goalie kits and such. And so, I mean, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure even at the under 12s, you'll start to sort of test people out in goal. And under 15, you'll generally have some people that are like, oh, they've played in goal before at a different age group. So,
pinball. Do you have goals at pinball and under 12s? Do you have goals?
Pinball, yeah, we've got the little goals, like the little pop goals, as pinball. So the little small ones for pinball with no real keepers. Like it's, if a kid runs in front of it, then we try to keep the crease empty. So like it's literally no goalie. Under 12s, like John said, yeah, you are going into full goal with, with padding. And you tend to just rotate it because you're still working out where each player is best suited. The attack, midi, keeper, like where it is. So rotate the keeper along, like when you get to matches, like hopefully you got clubs nearby, so you get into like little tournaments. So you just rotate your keeper each time to work out, make it fair, because all the kids at that age just want to go score goals. They don't really want to be in defence or necessarily be in goals. They want to go and do the goals. So yeah, you just try to rotate it, find out, and then like John saying, like, oh yeah, I've been in goal before, I really enjoyed it. You get to that sort of level. But yeah, pinball, pop goals, no keeper. Under 12s, normal goal with padding.
Excellent. We'll open the floor. We've got plenty of time to have a good discussion. I'm just happy to start that because I've got a question for John. What kind of age and what are the things that you think of as a coach for when you kind of try and get a player then to be specialising in either attack or defence or even goal? Do you even bother with that? Is that under 15s, or do they start working out? Yeah, this guy wants to be an attacker. This guy wants to be a long pole. Talk us through those kind of that kind of thinking.
So it kind of varies between player to player. Some players would just naturally sort of draw themselves towards a more defensive position or a more attack-minded position, and so you can kind of start to see it as you kind of run your sessions. But generally, yeah. So as an example, we've got one kid, Finn, who is probably one of our better midfielders, but he's got a long pole and he really enjoys playing defence. And so the fact is, at that age group, you can't definitely don't pigeonhole them into one sort of category and one position, because the one thing you don't want to happen is for them to kind of get to a certain age and go, actually, no, I want to play in a different position. So just make sure that sort of you're aware of exactly the positions that they probably would be better suited to, so that when you do come to game days against like Portsmouth Pythons or something like that, you know exactly where to place them. And if they do come to you and say, oh, actually, can I go into this position, then take that into consideration and try and shift everything around so everyone gets a chance to play in the positions that they want to.
Right. So if you in the under 15 group, if you do specific coaching about, hey, here's what you need to know about working with a deep hole, how you hold it, how you pick up the ball, you do that with the entire group, or are you starting to split? Guys who are interested in defence come with me. The other guys go work with someone else and do an attack. Or do you teach everything? Do you teach everything to everybody still at that age group?
Generally, everything to everyone. Yeah. So we haven't fully covered the. I've only individually gone with how to hold a deep hole with the individual players who actually want to do that. But that will be a session covered where we'll go on it together and we'll say, this is a deep hole, this is how to handle it, and this is what you need to do, and then things to look out for. That way everyone does know, and later on in life, if they want to go off and do coaching, they're able to know exactly, well, to pass on that knowledge, hopefully.
Let's open the floor up. I can't hold all the questions. Any questions for Jack or John about anything we've shared so far? Raise your hands. Right, I've got a whole list of questions here, so don't worry. Right, there's more and more girls looking at the contact form of lacrosse and getting interested in it. I know that at least Rob Clark, I know there's quite a lot of girls interested in box lacrosse. Have you got any girls in the? And obviously you've got girls in the pinball. Have you got the girls in the under 12s when you're introducing contact, and the under 15s? And do you have any girls in those groups so far?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we like I was sort of like slightly saying earlier. After pinball, we do split into men's and women's lacrosse. So we have got an under 12s and we have got an under 15s women's lacrosse. And now that we got a women's team going, like some of their senior players are helping out as well with that side of things. So yeah, I'd say actually our girls' side of like under 12s and under 15s is probably slightly bigger numbers than our boys at the moment. You tend to find again going straight from curriculum into doing it out of term time or out of lesson plans. Like you find the women's and the girls are a lot more into it than the boys are, or know about it anyway straight away. Lacrosse.
Are you those girls putting on helmets and gloves and joining the boys' sessions though?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Not in massive numbers. I know that from the under 15s, we've had one or two girls come along, and we definitely encourage it. Of where especially if they want to, and then if it isn't quite right for them, then that's absolutely fine. But we definitely make sure that the opportunity is there, and make sure that they feel like they can participate.
Excellent, good stuff. Any more just hands? I'll go to my next one. So, how much do you talk about sort of the health and fitness side, making sure the kids are hydrated and all that sort of stuff? Do you talk to them about sort of their own well-being? Make sure you get plenty of fluid in you before you come to the session, or do you just let the parents be responsible for that kind of stuff?
Me personally, probably should definitely be doing that a lot more than I am. It's not one that I'm currently thinking like at the top of my level in when I'm coaching lacrosse anyway at Spence. I think like you said, the parents at my age groups are doing that more often. Obviously we're sending them off for water breaks and stuff like that, but maybe not talking about the specifics of you having a water break because or make sure you're hydrated because we're not necessarily having those conversations, but we are getting the regular water breaks in and stuff like that. But yeah, that is something that we should probably, me personally, should be doing more. John?
Yeah, I mean, like we send them off for water breaks and make sure that they are hydrating themselves. But in regards to actually talking to them about the importance of hydration, I don't think I have had that conversation. No, but we definitely do make sure that you go off and go grab a water before we start our next drill. So
it was just something that I've been pondering over the last few weeks of just sort of getting those health things together, because I know from my own sort of horrible history of injuries, most of the time I get injured is when I've gone into games and training a bit dehydrated, and the muscles then just give up so quickly. John, have you got a question?
Yeah, sort of picking up on sort of the parent side of things. What's your strategy for engaging parents in the sort of like the running of the clubs? Do you try and get parents to be? I mean, you guys are the coaches, and you know, Spencer, you're lucky you've got lots and lots of people willing to coach. But do you try and get parents in terms of the administration of the sort of teams and the sessions?
I think John. I think Pete does a lot. We at Pinball we tend to get the parents involved with, like I said, some of the team sports that the kids are just in like love, and like I said with the sort of like tag games in the middle with the ball. Like if your kid gets to like belt a soft ball at their parent, they're gonna love it. And then like yeah, I think Pete does try to get him helping out with the admin side of things, because when you get the late stragglers, we're already starting to coach when we're like, we've got to sign in, especially during COVID. It's like, we've got to take a temperature as well. It's like tricky, that side of things. So yeah, I think we do try. There is one or two parents that definitely lend a hand straight away who actually probably come a lot more because they enjoy it as well. Like their kid enjoys it, but they enjoy it as well. So they'll come along. And then me being like forwards captain as well, I'm starting to poach some of the parents going, hey, do you really like it? Do you want to come along to one of this men's sessions or like training? And then try and get like lacrosse more than just their kid, like get it a little bit more in the family, really. Yeah.
Soon as that was my way into lacrosse. That was
yeah.
Yeah. It's not just that. It's also just trying to make sure that the parents, like as coaches, like we're coaching the kids, but we do try and go talk to the parents, because I think the sort of rule number one is try to create that club feel and try to create a part of a community, and therefore you need to go talk to those parents and try to make them feel like, oh, okay, I know I really enjoy coming here as well on a Sunday morning, as well as my kid enjoys it. Therefore, yeah, let's just keep coming. And then down the line, hopefully they're attending similar calls like you are, John.
John Horbury, staying with you, another question on my list is the drills that you run for the under 15 group. Is that pretty much the same set of drills that the seniors run, or are there some drills that a coach who coaches adults would have in his or her locker that you wouldn't necessarily want to do with an under 15 group? So basically, do you take the same set that the seniors have been doing for years? Do you have a very much reduced set? Are there things that you definitely do or definitely don't do with the under 15 group?
Not massively, no. I mean, there's a lot of transferable drills that you absolutely can take across. The only thing you've got to keep in mind at all times is the fact that a lot of these drills they'll be learning for the first time, or they won't have picked it up at university, or they won't have gone through a previous session once before. So all of these kind of drills they're going to be going through for the first time, and so you need to, one, be patient with it, but two, make sure that they're learning the basics right and not losing focus of good technique. So that's the only thing that you've got to concentrate on, and making sure that they don't, you don't sacrifice that for the sake of learning a new drill.
So all the sort of staple drills that most clubs around SEMLA will be using, like build-up drills, 1v1, 1v2, 2v2, 3v, all that stuff can be.
Yep.
You're getting into like West Jenny. Remember Rob Clark, England Clark at the start of these seminars talked about West Jenny. Obviously, that's, I guess, do the kids love that one because it's really fast up and down?
West Jenny is always popular. I tried to use that one as more of a treat, as a sort of we can we can do I call it basketball rather than West Jenny, but
what about
the kids do like those drills?
Yeah, but for both of you guys, when you get to sort of the ground ball battles, so I remember at uni, ground ball battles, when you're really getting in there one-on-one ground balls, that's when, if you've got like a much bigger guy coming in and getting really physical on the ground balls, that's a bit scary for a small, maybe for whoever it is. Yeah. How much do you get into that physicality of ground balls? Maybe Jack with the under 12s, how much do you do in there, and then how do you increase the intensity and keep things safe, John, with the under 15s?
So we'll do one-on-one of like two lines, and literally coach in the middle throws the ball out, so they both go for the ground ball at the same time. A lot more controlled that way to begin with the under 12s. That it's just you're only looking at one body that you're either got to stop or avoid getting hurt by. So the slow progression of literally just doing one-on-one first against ground ball, like out and chase it, is more what we do with under-12s. We don't normally tend to focus on one man, one ball straight away at that age. Because then, you'll get the kids who are just like, I'm going to hit him as hard as I can, because they're at that age of like, this is going to be fun. I'm just going to like go for him, which, will then cause injuries. Where if they're doing 1v1, they're half thinking, I've got to clear out the man, but I also got to get the ball. So they won't go in as hard necessarily. Well, that's what I've found anyway so far, touch wood. No major injuries yet. But John?
Yeah, so at the under 15s level, I mean, they absolutely love the ground ball drills. It's there's always a little cheer as soon as I sort of mention that we're going to be doing 2-on-1s. But yeah, you do need to be seriously mindful of some of the bigger kids, because obviously there aren't as many kids at a certain age group. We have to lump the older 12-year-olds in with the sort of young 15-year-olds, and so therefore there is sometimes a big size difference, and so you do need to be mindful of that and making sure that the older kids and more importantly the larger kids don't just simply run over the little kids because they can, but as long as you're clear on that and making sure that they're just working as a team to pick up the ball and win the ground ball and get it back to the coach, and that's the main thing.
I think as well, like, I think I use my own height as a little example and advantage of that. Because being on the lacrosse pitch, you can definitely spot where I am, and like I'm not afraid to go for the ground ball. Like, but teaching like the smaller kids who will sort of be looking at the shield going, oh no, I'm going to get hurt by this. Just going, all right, this is what I do, and they go, oh what? You can still pick up the ground ball. Like that realization of no, you can still do it. You just got to slightly adapt it, like get off the line quicker, or do a sidestep, or as soon as you're there, lower your center of gravity over the ball. So get ready to take that hit to begin with. If your center of gravity is nice and low, you shouldn't get shoved too easily, and then you can go for the ball. So tend to use my height as that advantage there, really.
Okay. John Tilly, you've still got your hand up. Is that a new question?
Sorry, that's an old one.
That's fine. Right. Just here, jump in if you need.
Just to say with the ground ball drills, try to avoid, especially at the under 15s at least, try to avoid anything where you're just throwing the ball in the middle and the kids start running at each other, because that's where you're going to start getting injuries. If you're going to do a ground ball drill, do it where everyone's at the back line and you're rolling it out, and therefore there's no momentum of where they're crushing each other, because that's where the injuries are going to happen.
I've just got a quick question regarding like the individual creativity. So do you set any time aside in your sessions for doing things like round the backs and wrap checks and things like
that? Under 12s tend to get like the creativity flowing during like the warm up, and like just like sort of like while we're waiting for everyone to join in. Yeah, you get the BTBs going on. Not necessarily wrap checks straight away at the beginning, but yeah, you do sort of start to get that individual flair when you're warming up with the kids as just the little throw around to begin with until the session starts. You're starting to throw them in yourself of like trying to get through that, and then they're like, oh, that looks cool, how'd you do that? So that's what I tend to find with the under 12s, of how to get those individual like flair bits in. John, under 15s?
Yeah, so generally we'll avoid sort of teaching it as sort of our core items. Primarily we want to be focusing on their fundamentals and good form, and make sure that they stay away from bad form. But there will always be in the session sort of the fun drill, and so this is either sort of
John, you may have a blip. I've just temporarily had a blip, so that's why I disappeared for a few seconds. But John's back. John, we just lost you there for a few seconds. Can you just repeat the last couple of sentences?
Yes. Yes. So we just want to stick with good fundamentals, and then in our fun drills, occasionally we might introduce something like that, of where we might sort of say, right, like this is how you would do a back behind the back, but I would never focus a session or sort of try and get them to do it as a regular occurrence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question.
So going forward, though, do you not think that you're putting behind the backs as bad form, or that's what it comes across as? But obviously the Canadians and the way that they develop their skills, obviously they're doing these, picking these skills up when they're very young, aren't they? So going forward, is it not something that English lacrosse needs to think about and try and introduce them? I don't know whether you'd agree or not, but
no, sorry, it's not bad form to do behind the back. It's about making sure that they have the fundamentals and the good quality skills there as their core, and then you can start to teach the rest of it. I think that's the key that we kind of want to focus on. Not in no way do I ever say don't do it to my kids, and if anything, I sort of say, try new things, and especially if they do go practice on their own, definitely to sort of try and practice those kind of things. But I'll only start teaching it once they have the actual key fundamentals there. Is what I mean.
It's also like choosing, like make sure they know when to put that into their game. Like if they do, really enjoy like the BTBs and all the flair tricks, to just remember like when to actually put that into their game, and not like don't shoot all the time like the BTB. It's not worth it. Like, but if you have found yourself you've gone too far, like if you're cutting across goal and you found yourself you've gone too far across for that front shot, so then that's when you do it. So when you are introducing those skills, just remembering when they should be using that in a game. And yeah, it's fun and it looks really, really cool, but a lot of the time it is really tricky, like those flair ones to pull off. So just making sure that by all means learn it and get involved with it, but just you get that gameplay of knowing when to use it and when to not use it.
Following on, like a related question around skills for both of you guys. Do you try and get players competent with both hands, or do you focus on the dominant hand?
No, definitely both hands. It's something that I wish I did when I was younger a lot more. I'm still definitely right hand only, and maybe I've used my lefty maybe 3 times in total in ever in lacrosse. But it's something that we go right, next 10 minutes we're doing weak hand or like opposite hand all the time. So yeah, we do try to get an equal bit of right and left, make sure they are using both. It's something it's something that I wish I did when I was younger. So it's I'm going right. I wish I was better with my left hand. I'm going to make sure these guys are better with their left hand already.
Yeah, for the under 15s, it's the same. So in our stick skill session, we'll make sure that we're using both hands, switching hands, and doing all of those things. But I know that was it a very, very good sort of strong hand is much better than sort of 2 mediocre hands. So it will vary from kid to kid, but in that stick skill session at the start, we'll make sure that all the kids are using both hands. But then after that, I won't tell them, oh, you need to switch hands there, or you need to do this instead, because if they're more comfortable with their right hand in front of goal, like yes, maybe the left hand would probably be better, but if you're good enough with your right hand to catch and dunk on the keeper in front of the goal, then that's better, in my opinion.
Thank you. My next question is a slight change of tact, back to sort of logistics and things. For the different age groups, how long are those sessions? So are the sessions a bit shorter for the younger, for the ping ball, or what? How long do you run these sessions, thinking about the different age groups, different levels of fitness, things like that?
Again, the sessions are around the same sort of time, like 45 to an hour. But I think it's having regular breaks with the younger lot, so if the fitness levels aren't there or that, but also if you're changing the game and changing like the skill that you're doing quite regularly in the younger lot, you're also going to get off from the tedious and the boredom that they might find. Oh, we've done this drill for ages now when they're quite young. So I think both, the pinball, the under-12s and the 15s are all about the same length in time in total, but maybe, with the under-12s we do less games and less different activities than the pinball. You'll go through like 5 or 6 different things in pinball, where you might go in 3 or 4 in under-12s.
Mm-hmm. And John, I assume how long are the sessions for the under-15s?
So from an hour and a half to 2 hours, and that'll be once a week.
Okay. And then related to that, I don't know if either of you watched Maya Bartlett a couple of weeks ago from the German and Luxembourg programs, but she was talking about how she her session plans are almost defined down to the minute, as in we're going to do 3 minutes of this, then 4 minutes of that, then 1 minute of that, and it's all part of a master plan. Has Pete or whoever, are you working to a kind of curriculum of, on this week we're doing this, on this week we're doing this, on this week we're doing this, or are you a bit more freeform?
I think Pete's definitely got a plan, and I often go through that. Like, people go, right, we're going to focus on this this week, and he'll say we're going this year or this year or this year. So yeah, Pete would have done the planning. To be fair, I just rock up and do the coaching. Not much.
He hands you the plan and says, Jack, deliver that.
Pardon?
Does he just hand you the plan and say, Jack, deliver that?
Not necessarily. No, there won't be like a physical copy. I mean, he's probably done one, but he wouldn't bring it. But it'll be right, we're going to focus on this. So beginning, we're doing this, and then we're moving on to this, and then ending on this. So yeah, he'll have the plans in mind of that. So he'll set up the next drill while I'm still doing the first one.
Uh-huh.
But no, I haven't seen an actual physical printed copy. Whether probably does it, but Pete, it's all in Z, a lot of it, so it's quite good.
Is that a similar story for you, John, and the older kids, or are you in charge of the sort of the curriculum, the plan, how you're going to get them from A to B over the next 6 weeks?
Yeah, so I'm more in charge of that, and so generally over a semester, we will focus on building a game plan for what I want the kids to work on, and that's part of what my key coaching point is. So I'll build on sort of the session from the week before or a few weeks before, and so forth, up until we can kind of really build it into a proper gameplay. It's not down to the minute, but I will keep it. I constantly keep an eye on the time to make sure that we're not sort of losing track of it, and making sure that we're moving on to our next drill once we need to. A good thing I have for that is sort of when the kids are starting to come to the end of the session, I'll start letting them know the time limit of when it's ending, and therefore they can start to sort of really kind of give it their all for those last few minutes, making sure that they're ready for when we go into the next drill.
Wonderful. Right, we've got a few more minutes left. We'll just have one more call for any other questions for Jack or John on the floor. And then I was just going to ask, obviously, junior lacrosse, when are you restarting over in Spencer?
Very good question. I think I haven't checked my emails lately, but similar to when we're starting, which is after the 29th.
So you might be running some sessions over the Easter holidays?
Yes.
Excellent. John, have you got any question at this point?
Yes, it's just one more sort of logistics question about kit. So one of the big sort of barriers is always kind of like the launch into needing helmets, needing gloves, whatever. What does Spencer do about helping people sort of over that? Do you have a loan system, whatever? Welling's run various things. They've all failed. All the kits disappeared, sort of over the years. So
I think Pete's quite good with that. Like he's very good at knowing who's got what. There will be a big stash of kit that we've already got. Seniors will donate their old kit as well to the program. And then once you find the kid who's really, really enjoying it, like we'll be like, right, really enjoying it. Do you want to think of purchasing your own instead of always buying this smelly old kit and like going, it's here, but you don't want it, but it's here if you want it. Sort of like that way of getting them to buy their own stuff. Yeah, I think like because we've got obviously quite the big club, there is a lot of donations that go forward for it, and it's been going for a while. So yeah, we have got a stash, but I tend to go, oh, you don't want this smelly kit, you want to get your own, don't you? And like try and like say that to the kids. So it's your birthday coming up. Oh well, you know what's going on your list now, don't you? And those sort of things. So that's the way. So I go around it.
Okay.
There's also we also have sort of kit bags, and so what Pete does is he'll assign, once a kid is signed up, paid for the year, is he'll give them a kit bag, and that's got their gloves, helmet, elbow pads, and then I don't think a sticker's included in that bag, but basically
by the time you get to under 12s, they're sort of getting their own stick by then, haven't they?
Exactly, yeah. But they do. There is a kit bag, and therefore Pete keeps track of everything. Of saying, okay, so and so's got a kit bag number 15, and then therefore at the end of the year, it was when they need to return it, it's like, okay, if any kit is missing, this is how much it is to replace it. And then you're just hoping that their parents are willing to pay.
Coughing it up, yes.
Exactly. That's generally the process that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, John Tilley, that's a great question, because the financial outlay to get 10, 15 complete sets of kit is a lot, especially because, as John Horbury said, you could have a 12-year-old who's the size of a 15-year-old and needs bigger gloves, and the 15-year-old who needs the slightly smaller gloves, and helmets are probably what's your approach for helmets, John? Because helmet sizes are variable enough for adults, but for kids, the size of their heads must be ridiculous. How do you get about getting a helmet that fits all those kids?
Generally, was that most Cascade helmets are sort of adjustable to be able to sort of adjust to the size of someone's head. But for those rare cases where someone has an unbelievably small head or an incredibly large head, I think there are a few exceptions of where there are a few of those helmets lying around. But Spencer is we're really lucky to have a general lockup of where the kit never leaves the site. It gets locked up, and it kind of gets put away. Whereas I know for a lot of other clubs, they're probably not as lucky to kind of have that luxury to just we're just going to go put it in the lockup, and then that's done. They probably have to take it home, or so it does become a lot more complicated. Not sure of a way around this other than someone solely being responsible for it, but that's a lot of responsibility. So
the actual number
to think on.
The numbered kit bags. So this kid's running kit bag number 15. At the end of the session, those kit bags go back in the lockup, and they don't take them home.
No, they'll take their own one home. It'll be the odd spare bits that will be in the lockup. So like John was saying, like once they sign up to their number, that's theirs for the year. And then obviously they sign up again, they can get it back, or they move on to the next level. Or once they've bought their own kit, then it's like, cool, we've got it back. So they'll normally bring it and keep it for the year, and then obviously give it back at the end.
Rob, a question.
I was actually going to say, just in addition, I know John's obviously used to Spencer having the lockups now, but for a long while we used to have to go to Pete's house, and his garage was absolutely chocked to the brim, and we wandered around his house. There wasn't wallpaper on the wall, but there was sort of like lacrosse stuff everywhere. So the program to start these things, we can't all start with
lockup.
3 lockups at the ground. But obviously, sort of like somebody with a willingness to have a garage space definitely helps.
So we all know nothing happens without volunteers. That's the most fundamental thing. Right. I think we will start to wrap up now. I just want my final thing to to Jack and John, if you know this, is obviously we'll be starting lacrosse again soon. Lacrosse is back. Are there any targets for the juniors, or are you just going to kind of get them playing again and then just work out are you going to get any games in?
I think, yeah, definitely get them playing again. I know with Spencer, obviously, there's Hillcroft down the road where there's got a junior program. Then the next nearest one, I think, is Portsmouth Python. So it is tricky to get games going. So it is more, we're back, find the love of it again. It's been ages since it's going, so find the love of it again, and then we'll look at summer probably to go right. Let's have some tournaments again. Let's have some matches again. Hopefully earlier than that, but I'd say to begin with, it'd definitely be like, right, we're back. Let's find the love of it again.
I don't think Hillcroft do ever juniors, but you're right with Portsmouth, and I know that Guildford sort of join onto the back of them and throw in the kids when they have them. But yeah, goal number one is just get them playing, and then goal number two is hopefully in the summer try and organise a Manchester tour. Those are the two options we have. It's literally just Portsmouth plus others, and then a Manchester tour. So,
yeah.
But hopefully from September we'll have Richmond as well, which is a new startup, which hopefully that'll be good for us.
Rob, you want to confirm Hillcroft?
Yeah, I was going to say, sort of sadly, Hillcroft doesn't yet have juniors. Jack, I can confirm that. But it is something that we are trying to, I don't know how we're going to manage it, but we are aiming to do something along those lines. But my final question was, based on everything that you've already done so far, etc., is there anything that you wish you'd done differently?
In the coaching side of things, or me probably start earlier, like start helping out Spencer earlier instead of like the gap that I did do, because it's what I do as work. Like I work in childcare and work in child support. It's probably something I should have started out helping out earlier. So me, that's probably my one.
No regrets from me.
I wasn't asking for regrets. That was almost a bit too honest, John.
Okay, then, right. What we'll do, thanks very much for Jack and John. Thank you for those who joined us on this call and the great discussion we've had. Hopefully those who are watching us later will get a lot from it as well. You all know how to get hold of the guys from Spencer. If not, you can easily find out. I'm just going to stop the recording, but please stay on. Thanks, everyone.